It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh my god, it's a UFO. You know, unidentified flying object.
Yeah, sure.
You don't know what it is either. Apologies for a late response to this. I know this is kind of like old news at this point, but I still want to share my thoughts about it. Unfortunately, I don't have sonic speed I can rely on, but I still have the backbone to state my thoughts on this matter. So the Superman trailer came out recently, and I think it was a make or break time for a good impression and a newfound trust for what is a genesis of the new DC Studios universe of projects, make it a real closure to the Snyderverse, or rather, the DC Extended Universe. The amount of stuff they have lined up for the foreseeable future is a crap ton, maybe 2 crap tons, and good golly, it'll be a miracle if most, if not all, can succeed in different ways. During the time of the release of the trailer, I wasn't aware that there was a panel for DC Studios, with Superman being the focal point, of course. I was just casually scrolling and strolling through social media, reading the quotes from James Gunn via news source, explaining his approach for the film before I watched the trailer. I had more free time to finally check it out, and I came into the trailer fresh and leaving my luggage of knowledge by the metaphorical door. After I saw the replay button that suggested videos on the screen, it made sense of what James Gunn was going on about and leaned more to his support than I already was. I was chatting with a customer at my workplace prior to watching the trailer, and at some point it led to the newly released Superman trailer, which only allowed so much thought sharing because, you gotta move on through the day. I may be wrong here, but I had the impression of a conflict of interest with James Gunn's work on recent projects, the prime example being Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. All subjective, but I see where it's coming from. With a hunch? Yeah, that's reliable. Maybe he was hoping that his socks would be knocked off and knocked off good. However that might work. The many opinions out there that makes me wonder what would be paved by fans, the cast and crew in the studio. I acknowledge the "we want cannibal" banter, which is nearly impossible to ignore, but if I may say, I think the timing counts for a fresh start. But not necessarily a newer, better, rebooted take on the character and all that shizzle doodle doo. I want Henry Cavill, and I think he was awesome as Superman as well. But look around you. The so-called leadership of Warner Brothers Discovery, the many different visions and directions of people helming and assisting the projects, with Zack Snyder spearheading the former DC Extended Universe basically. The artists, human being lives happening on the wayside, and who knows what more should be listed. It turns me off so much when studios securely put the cart before the horse, no matter how exciting or optimistic it may seem, because they would be making a fool of themselves when done incorrectly, which is easy to do nowadays. There's none guaranteed projects might be good or something like that, only for it to ultimately be a tease, a waste of time, and easily bogged down by just one flop. Just put it in Mark Hamill's impression. All it takes is one big flop. Makes me want to say something shameless. If you're watching a Dark Universe film hoping for more movies, hey, I know life happens, and with the history of Warner Bros. Discovery's handling of the DCEU, because, all this buying companies and sharing leaderships, it can make it hard to trust. However, I have a feeling this turned new leaf will be in more of safer hands. I could tell that James Gunn is going to use this opportunity to make something special for everyone to care for. I bet Warner Discoveries is going to pretend to care. The advantages of starting anew are in his favor because obviously he loves comic books, he loves making these sorts of movies, he loves to show his work to people to make them happy and rejoice. Who knows what sorts of shenanigans might lie ahead in life, but I believe that James Gunn is going to make the most of it, and I hope people give it a fair chance, starting with Superman, because let's admit, it looks pretty damn good. I will be giving my comments on most of the scenes that happened in the trailer. I won't be displaying it for you because I feel like I would be the unfortunate soul who gets struck so easily by copyright. Maybe gets sued, I don't know. But I will point out which scenes I'm referring to so I can make it easier for conversation. Without further ado, as far as I know as I wrote this. Let's sink into this bad boy. Buckle up. Superman gets wrecked. When I first hit the play button, I sort of cleared my head and just let the footage unravel, which I most often like to do when watching trailers and movies, just being chill about it. But I didn't think it was going to start pretty darn chilly right there. I would describe the scenario of the first scene of the trailer to help elaborate my given thoughts, but it would instead feel like a wannabe, visionary, passionate screenwriting that needed to be said, but one can easily take in, whether those watching the trailer think they know Superman or not. So I'm just gonna steer clear of that one. I think David Corenswet looks great as Clark Kent. No surprise, it's a tad different this time around than the curls. He understood the assignment just by looking at him and trying to get around the tsunami of people going about their day. He's just a guy living a challenging but down-to-earth life, effortlessly putting aside his other identity. The song might be just a bud growing, but I think it helps show right away the parallels in this guy's dear life. He's breathing for it. Who might this guy be? What's he wearing? How did he get pummeled to such a beating? Suspend your knowledge of Superman, or not if you've been living under a rock on who Superman is. To those people, where the heck have you been? This scene should still be strong enough to pull people into the story. Lois Lane. The first look of Lois Lane from this trailer, played by Rachel Brosnahan. A seemable, regular working lady in the office workplace, but her life will eventually change when she sort of bumps into Clark as he fumbly finds his desk with tunnel vision. I bet that's why he needed laser vision, am I right? A connection. She then takes a second gander at him, probably for the reason that he's a newbie, that he's finding everything okay, he's peculiar, or maybe he's just plain mysterious on her radar. The first impression. Father and son from Getty Images. You get a few shots where Clark has his arms around his old man, his adoptive father, having a very touching father and son moment. Just by the looks of it, you could tell this is going to be much warmer than your pizza roll's interior after microwaving them. Think about it. If done right, this will help in the long run, as James Gunn intended. Part of the tale, a prism of his life, of a man named, wait for it, Superman. I had another thought that popped up freshly as I was writing this. Because of the prior intention of legacy in the main title of the movie that's now removed, this scene might slug a little because of the attempt to reflect on the legacy part a little more for the overall story. How will Clark leave the tracks that is marking his journey? What will his Earth Pops be proud of? Don't get me wrong, it should serve well to help define Superman and shape him for better. But the reason James Gunn left out the legacy part was because we should be looking forward, not backwards, paraphrasing here, for the character of Superman, and make the movie a lot more fresh to view. I think that might be a good drawback to the scene if not done right, despite how good that moment should feel. I hope I sort of put it into words that makes sense. Crypto to the rescue! I swear, Crypto is going to be such a major highlighted character. He's so freaking adorable. He's so loyal to where he rushes to Superman's aid from a certain whistle. He's one tough puppy if Superman depends on him to take him home. Premature, but I speak for all when I say he lives up to the name of man's best friend. Who knows what more we're going to see him do, but I hope there's more where that came from. But wait, there's more. The creative decision to have Crypto in this movie is interesting enough, concerning what sorts of new grounds we're about to enter. Possibly the live-action debut of Crypto, a Superman solo film where he's not too isolated. Who knows what more? Never before scenes. It isn't just limited to the first, but James Gunn is laying down the groundwork for the creative build of the new DC Studios films that he has in his pocket in the foreseeable future. You think Crypto was going to be the only accompaniment that Superman is going to have? Wrongo! But you can still see it's going to be a Superman-centric story in his own movie. He got some other folks joining the party, but more on them later. I don't think having other enhanced individuals in this movie is a bad idea, nor do I think it's a desperate move to have butts into the movie theater. In fact, it can also serve to see where Superman takes part in a world of such, and emphasize what he means to people as this one individual. It reminds me of Captain America Civil War, where although you have all these super folks greatly featured, a few even debuted, it's still Steve Rogers' Captain America movie at heart. The name Stark is still prominent. Steve's newfound buddy and Sam Wilson, who of course will be taking the new mantle of Captain America in Brave New World. The treasured friendship with Bucky Barnes that beats time, leading to many choices. This sets it apart from an Avengers film plot while sticking with the traits and journeys of Steve Rogers. And trust my barber. It's so weird to see Nicholas Hoult bald in general. Like, where does his hair go? He was playing Beast for 1 second and now he's, clean. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I think it's cool to see the new but classic approach to playing Lex Luthor, but also help James Gunn make his vision realized. I remember when news broke out that Nicholas Hoult would be playing Lex Luthor for Superman. I could see him pull it off, but based on his acting chops rather than a picture this scenario. You gotta admit, it's an interesting pick. There's been several good picks for that bald-headed fiend. Kevin Spacey and Superman Returns, which is kind of challenging to look back at now. Michael Rosenbaum and Smallville, that dude was a real menace. Jesse Eisenberg and the DC Extended Universe, which still makes me think, what did Zack Snyder want from his acting abilities? No offense, but I'm just wondering. John Cryer going for the nearly unpeelable role of Dr. Alan Harper, and 2.5 Men to playing Mr. Lex in Supergirl. I haven't seen the show, but I heard great stuff when it came to his Luthor chops. I think Nicholas Hoult can hold up the legacy of the character for a while. Alright, now hear me out. Is it wrong that I want to see some sort of interesting vein flexing from his head? See how irritated Lex can get from the sight of Superman? Similar to that meme, where the kid looks constipated and veins are building intensely. The Kid with the Flag. It is apparent that Superman will be making an impact in his world, but the real question is, how? The kid holding a homemade flag with Superman's logo, repeating his name like Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Oh, am I going to say it? What does that kid wish he can have hope fulfilled? What string of the heart is going to be pulled with this angle? The scene will definitely be served as something. But for what, might I wonder? Any guesses out there, guys? Superman. Public Enemy? Oh yeah, the money shot in my opinion, not because it's a thumbnail as well. I believe most shots could be the money shot, whether abstract or action, but this is the one that struck me good. Superman will always do a lot of good stuff, even if there might be a few ungrateful or negative who-mans out there. Who knows, their reasons might be valid, and yet will someone freely trash on this guy in this shot. Despite how bad it may feel, Superman chooses to take those blows, pretty different to how he takes physical blows. This is a great lineup for the character, and this also adds up to James Gunn's vision for this Superman film. He believes in the human race, and maybe adding to what Jimmy was saying, they're his people that he lives amongst. You think you're the only superhero in the world? Now, I don't know how the scene will play out with context. We'll find out ourselves in due time, but this looks like Superman is trying to gain access into something. And behind him, you either got the Today Show reenactments or most likely to be the same people bagging on him. I wager the second one. The scenery will soon be disrupted by the posse of Guy Gardner's Green Lantern, Hot Girl and Mr. Terrific. The next thing you know, they're probably kicking butt together. They just know how to get along with each other very quickly. How much you want to bet their mothers' names were Martha? Just the two of us. We get a sneak peek of Clark and Lois getting intimate with each other, from the calmest of moments to times where duty calls and the world needs saving. It looks quite the spectacle looking at the window in that one shot while he's, wearing the boots in the promo photo. It makes me wonder how Superman is going to help solve that ongoing fiasco outside. I have a scenario in my head where I imagine the dialogue being old school spoken, where Clark would say, "Baby, the city is under attack and I cannot ignore the danger of the civilians. When I return, I will give you that passionate moment that would not leave your mind for the rest of your time." Now, putting up this notice before the thoughts become too isolated, I'm not too knowledgeable of DC compared to the rivaling Marvel, so I only know so much as what's relevant these days beyond the pretty basic stuff, of course. I hope I worded that correctly, and I reserve the right to explain the amount of consumed knowledge of DC in peace in the future. That being said, you can tell it's an unusual moment out of context, but it will hit the right spots when we understand why Superman is more than just checking on a robot in pieces. I might have felt some corrections on the other side of the presentation. No, this is the robot. The location seems to look like Krypton, or maybe a remnant of it on Earth, or maybe a simulation from a machine. Maybe Superman is looking for answers about himself or related to, which led to the Kryptonian facility of sorts. Maybe that robot might hold a few important answers that must be known, but gets cut out when only parts or all is revealed. Movie cliches. Have seen Rogue One? Being the attachment to his heritage and possible legacy, he can't help but console to the robot. We've seen Stranger. Remember Solo, A Star Wars Story? This reminds me of Pokemon, the series XYZ. Spoilers! I'll put up a timer. Where the Kalos region is under attack because of Lysander's nefarious plans with his reinforced Team Flare. One of the key moments to help the heroes defeat Lysander was for Clement to enter Prism Tower, where the Lumio City gym he runs is also located. The action was being held there, and he needs his cherished robot Clembot to bypass the hacked security systems. But by using him, Clembot will have to take the bullet of losing his life and memories. This is one of Clement's most precious inventions, with plenty of history, but he made the ultimate call to have Clembot save the day. The heroes get many steps forward, but we also see Clement crying over Clembot's tattered mechanical body with no memory of times prior, which basically paved the way for how they got there to that day. It was gut-wrenching to see, same energy. And not much else to say from my end for the rest of the trailer. The final shots speak for themselves. Thoughts after the trailer. This movie trailer should be enough for people to at least check out the movie, no matter the intentions. Heck, you can even swaying the folks who is dying to bag on this movie, probably making money earnings a little more easy to collect for at least another movie at DC Studios. Hearing from the response from the trailer, I'm wondering that the kickstarting and running of the new series of DC movies might be a secured scenario. I wouldn't say that I have a forefront position to determine the results of the movie critically and financially. I'm just a guy using the context clues around. The trailer also gives us a modern classic feel while also feeling like a visionary passion project with tons of experience applied to it. I think we're heading towards something special here, but I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't hit the target as much as it should be. No ill intent, but have you forgotten that this is James Gunn that we're talking about? I remember one of the best advice that Gunn had from Kevin Feige after checking up on his Guardians of the Galaxy film in pre-production. Paraphrasing here, it needs more James Gunn. Obviously, it was the right direction for everybody, but I feel like there was a bit too much James Gunn input in the sequel, as much as I like the movie a lot. I mean, it's a really good movie, but, there's times where it felt like a bit much. Basically, talking about the silliness and comedy, and I wish to remain cautious for this movie as well. However, I think good old Jimmy can pull this one off. The new set of actors to play familiar characters, the cinematography, the bloody trailer music, I mean, come on, tell me it wasn't cool. This trailer is so awesome, it is its own work of art. I'm already sold, but I'm hoping that this movie ages like fine wine so we can be inspired and entertained for a good long while. Those are my takes on the first Superman teaser trailer. Which moment got stuck to the wall for you? Or what's this overarching item of the trailer that you can't seem to ignore? Your adhesiveness is appreciated, and thank you for your time. Take care, God bless, and adios. Bonus parody! Then try it. What? Try watching the Superman trailer. You guys have lost your touch. Ha! The casting is insufficient, the innovations are like... And yet, why does this movie speak to the heart so much? It is unnecessary, yes, but each detail speaks to the audience's care for the experience. It is as though the teaser eases your hard expectations. This teaser, it is as though it looks like a true Superman fan's love. Bonus parody. Superman, what's going on up there? I'm trying to make the people look up, Jerry.